We're back here on the program, the platform, and we're talking education today. Not generally, but with the emphasis on opportunities for young Bahamians at Colorado Technical University with Chris Dwyer. Ms. Dwyer, we were talking during the commercial break about capacity of your school in terms of the faculty, and perhaps you can give us some information on that and any relationship that you would have with other colleges and universities in the area in Colorado?
Sure. Great question. Yes. So first of all, our faculty are trained and are typically working professionals, right? So they're working in the field that they're teaching. So you're not learning hypotheticals, right? You're learning material that you can take to work the next day that's very applicable. They work very closely with our students to ensure that they're successful, right? So one of the unique challenges of having primarily online students and adult learners, right? So our average student is a working adult. And we've had to develop a lot of support systems, right? So we've got a lot of students within the United States that have been perhaps out of the educational system for some number of years, and over time we've had to develop ways, they tend to be, higher risk, and we have to do a lot, to make sure that they feel good, right? People are afraid to go to school. Maybe they're afraid to go online. They don't understand that. So we've developed a number of support systems, and faculty being obviously a key part of that, right, to ensure students are retaining and they're successful. And, we work with our faculty closely to ensure that they're doing that. On top of that, for Bahamian students, we've got a dedicated admissions team, and the BIBT staff are very well versed in helping students come to us, so they're a resource. We've got dedicated admissions folks, and then we've also got every student that comes to us gets a dedicated success coach. So this is somebody that they can work with. In the first week of class, they're going to get a coach, and whatever problems they might have, if it's with academics or whatever support that they need from a financial standpoint, right? This is somebody that can help them all the way through their education. Beyond that, we've got a career services team that can help people, look for jobs and, in the future beyond that. So there's a lot of different things that we do to ensure that our students are successful, and we're very proactive in ensuring that happens.
Now, someone's mentioned, I believe, that you have a system of tracking students as well?
Yes, so fast track, that's an outgrowth. So we've got, as part of what I was just saying, when you're working with adult learners, if you think about traditional education, and in the United States you might go to a large state university and you could have a lecture hall with 100 or 200 people sitting, and I've sat in these lecture halls, and at any given point in time, a professor may or may not know who's following along, right? One student might think this is boring because I know all this already. Other students are following right along, and other students might be completely lost. So what we did, and it started a number of years back, is we've partnered with a company to develop a system called IntelliPath. It's an adaptive learning system that we've integrated into many of our courses that actually does a pre-assessment of a student's knowledge in that course, and then a series of questions to determine what their actual knowledge base is in that course. So then we can deliver the right information at the right time, so people can skip past what they know and focus on those things that they need to learn. So an outgrowth of that program, IntelliPath, has been FastPath, where we could take that same mechanism and say, so for, I'm just using as an example, accounting, someone could go in and take a fast track course in accounting, and if they find that their competency level is high enough, then they can fast track out of that course. So what we've seen is that students can save up to 30% of their time and money by taking fast track. That's how many courses are out there to go through that. So the point is to really find out where our students are at, get them the education they need, and get it as efficiently and affordably and successfully as possible, get them to the degree.
How have you found Bahamian students? I think you mentioned that you have 19 so far. How have you found them in terms of their preparation for entry into your programs?
Excellent. Excellent. And that's, we started out, honestly, we started out slowly because we weren't sure what the success rate was going to be like, and the GPAs are high, higher than our typical students, and they're doing very well.
I'm given to understand, Dr. Forbes, that Bahamian college students have done extremely well in colleges and universities in the United States of America. So we have a pretty decent program here at the secondary level. Is that right?
Uh, yeah, I would say so. I think the thing you have to bear in mind is that Bahamian students who decide to pursue studies abroad are the ones that are truly dedicated to achieving something. And so, given that and the type of system that you have in the U.S., they're able to excel better than even some U.S. students.
Because they're paying good money, they make themselves, they get the best.
Yeah, and they're paying their own money.
Yes.
As opposed to the U.S. Students who 9 times out of 10 are on some kind of grant that they don't know about, or the parents, you know, that have lots of money, and so they don't worry too much about it. When you leave the Bahamas with your $10,000, you know you better come back with that double or more.
Exactly, because you need to get the value
Exactly.
for the money you spend. Isn't that right, Mr. Williams?
Yes, sir.
Very good. You've been doing the online program, so you are getting ready to do the to go on campus to spend some big money with Colorado Technical University, right?
Yes, sir.
And you want value for money.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk more generally about education. And people ask the question, Mr. Forbes, always, education for what? What do you tell young Bahamian students? Because a whole lot of them who've gone to secondary school and have graduated, they have their diploma. They believe that, well, you know, I can rest here for a little while. But why a higher level of education? And all of you can answer that if you wish.
Yeah, in terms of why education, I think from a general standpoint, I mean education just to know that you're educated, I think is self-fulfilling. It's a fulfilling, rewarding thing in and of itself. But when you look at the way the world is structured today, you could hardly survive without education. You actually need an education in order to survive. And I think career-wise, it's no way to get ahead. Gone are the days when I know Mr. Jones, so I'm going to send my daughter to him or my son to him to get a job. That doesn't work anymore. You have to come with some level of competency, some skill set that you can present to whomever you're going to in order to qualify for a position. And so you have to now demonstrate a higher level of competency in whatever area of pursuit you.
Mr. Dwyer, I've heard it said that you need to educate people for life.
Yes, yes. So I have a unique take on this. So the primary focus of my team, aside from having partnerships like we have with BIBT, is actually I manage a team that goes throughout the United States and forms partnerships with some of the largest companies, you know, some very large companies that you all recognize the names of. And they are, for the most part, you know, paying a lot of money to send some of their employees back to school to either complete bachelor's degrees or get master's degrees, and they're seeing a strong ROI, right? So companies that are held to being profitable, they don't like to just give money away typically unless they're getting some return on it. And we've had some that one particularly did a study and saw that they were getting like 129% return on every dollar they were spending on the education of their employees. So they're getting better critical thinking skills, right? They're getting employees, they can build a bench, right? So I've always considered as a university, our customer is actually the employers, and our job is to get our students ready to go out into the workforce and do that. And I've met with many leaders in HR leaders and other leaders in large companies, and by and large, education is one of the keys, for them to build a strong workforce and to ensure that they're successful, not just now, but in the future. And, so I don't think that this trend is going to change anytime soon. It's accelerating.
I know many dummies with bachelor's and master's degrees, gentlemen. I've come across a good number of people who were in search of job opportunities and who I've interviewed from time to time, who, while they had the qualification on paper, they weren't able to think critically. And I want you to speak to that. And I ask you, what is education for? And why do we have this phenomenon where you have a whole lot of people who have the paper qualification and aren't able to make good decisions and to think critically?
Well, if I may, you would recall from our days of going to school, Mr. Jones, that we went through a system of regurgitation. We memorized everything, and if you had a good memory and you could regurgitate, sometimes we could regurgitate an entire book.
You learn things by rote. Eh?
Yeah, and so there wasn't this emphasis on critical thinking until recently. And I think that is because the way the world has changed in terms of information technology. Now we have to be able to think on our feet. And so the emphasis now is on critical thinking. So some of those degrees that you saw might have been from persons who actually just memorized things in order to get through the course.
And I just wondered if these technical schools that you have, the Bahamas Institute of Business and Technology and your university, they put the emphasis on thinking, because there are a whole lot of people who have been educated on how to do this, do that, all right, Mr. Williams, but not how to think, and how to think deeply. And we see that a whole lot in our region, in Caribbean societies, where people have been taught how to do and not how to think.
Yeah.
Well, that's a long pause. A pregnant pause, you call it. But I've come across a whole lot of people, and I just wonder the extent to which your university goes beyond the theoretical and go into practical, so that, or vice versa, more theoretical and less practical.
Well, that's a great question. So, as a whole, as I said before, we're educating, and many times adult learners or online learners, and many of our students have hit a point in their career where they've hit, ceiling, right? And they've realized that without that degree, without that next level of understanding, maybe of a specific subject matter or an area, or just that degree in and of itself, they're not going to get where they need to go. That said, to your point, they're not going to be very valuable to an employer if they can't think through problems and solve things and kind of not just see where's the ball at now, but where is it going to go, right? Where do we need to go? And those are the types of students that we hope that we're producing. I'd like to think that those students you're talking about aren't coming from CTU. I can't go online and guarantee that, but certainly, we're here to try to make people, better in the workforce and help, our employer partners and our students have successful careers, and you can't do that without critical thinking skills.
The World Wide Web being what it is, there are a whole lot of people who are getting an education over the internet or through the internet, and they do not have they are not interfacing with professors in a university, and they are just doing whatever they need to do to get by. Is this a school that is encouraging that, Mr. Dwyer? This internet learning, just doing enough just to get by?
No, we're not encouraging that at all. That's why we've got weekly assignments. There's requirements to be in rooms. Now, it's not a conversation like you'd have in a classroom, but our professors are hosting online messaging, discussion boards. You can access them live, or you can go, they're archived. So the point is to interact with your classmates, and be part of something. Can students choose to do the minimum? I would argue that they could choose to do the minimum, and people can choose to do the minimum in anything in life, right?
But I'm online and I need to answer, I have a question answered, Loran Williams. I'm stuck in a particular accounting problem. I need this answered. You are online. How do you deal with that?
Besides my lecturers, you can also interact with your fellow classmates to see if they have any, because like he said, most of the students there are working professionals. So you can leave your lecturer an email, and normally they check their email within the 24 hours and send you a reply within 24 hours later. But if you still need something more urgent than that, you can still also get help from your fellow classmates. Because like they say, the discussion boards are there every week. You can ask questions, go over topics with each other, and always have someone there to interact with you.
So you have a good number of fellow students that you have been interfacing and getting reactions from, eh?
Yes, sir. And with the live chat also, some lecturers choose to video chat their live chat, so you can actually see them and interact with them personally if you need any help.
The technology is wonderful.
Yes, sir.
The wonders of technology, they call it, eh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's take this final break and we'll come right back.
Mm-hmm.